As you can tell by the title, today's video is a story time. Are we still doing story times on YouTube? Is that a thing? I don't know. I'm coming back. More unhinged than ever. I'm just gonna let it all. I think I went or going through a midlife crisis because I just don't give a damn anymore. Well, mildly. I still do care. But like, I care slightly less. I care slightly less what people think of me, how people are gonna judge me, how people are gonna perceive me, and how they're gonna definitely misunderstand me. It is what it is. I'm learning just how I'm not responsible for other people's perspective, viewpoints. It is not my responsibility to appease other people. So today's story time is how I realized that I was in a toxic relationship. How I was somehow in a toxic relationship without even realizing it. How I fooled myself for years. Or how I was fooled. I definitely played a part in my own betrayal, sadly. And really, all of this channel is really just trauma dumping, so sorry, not sorry. If you're not into that, you don't have to be here. If you're here for the chisme and you're from my town, hola chismosos. ¿Cómo están? So basically, I'm only sharing this, one, because it's therapeutic for me to talk about, but two, so you could know the red flags. Some of us neurodivergents have a really hard time understanding certain things, especially when you add people pleasing and empathy and neurodivergency all in one brain and a lot of self-awareness. We kind of think that we can't fall for it because we think we're really aware, but that awareness can definitely backfire on us, and it could put us in situations because we're trying to be good people. We're not usually the evil person, we're not usually the bad guy, but it can make us vulnerable because we don't think we can be fooled. I thought I couldn't be fooled. I thought like I couldn't be manipulated. I really thought that. Like, I'm gonna try not to do any like self-deprecate behaviors or like talk in a self-deprecating way or even self-deprecating jokes, but it's hard because that's something I'm learning to undo. I'm gonna summarize the relationship. I got into this relationship when I was 23, coming out of another toxic relationship. I was a few months out, maybe like 6 months out of another toxic relationship. Not like 6 months out, but like 6 months living on my own, doing my own thing, just like focusing on me. And then because I was so used to, that was my first toxic relationship, the first one, because I was so used to somebody's really shitty and overtly abusive behavior, it was like verbally abusive, like yelling and stuff like that, I was able to see right away, wait, this isn't okay, this isn't right. I was young, I was dumb, I had got myself into the situation, but I was trying to figure my way out and I was trying to get out of it, and I did. I worked, I saved up money, and I was able to move myself out. But because the standard was so low, and this is one of the red flags to look out for, is because I was used to such a shitty relationship, when somebody offering something slightly better, it seemed like amazing to me. It seemed like everything I ever wanted, not because it was, but because the bar was so fucking low. The bar was in hell. The bar was low. So somebody didn't have to do a whole lot for me to be impressed. I was already young and dumb, you know, and traumatized. That's really what it is at the end of the day. So I was impressed with the bare minimum. I was impressed with affection, attention, somebody wanting me. I was impressed by that. I was impressed by somebody doing little things for me. And it wasn't much. It was just like wanting me, cooking for me, inviting me, including me. Now that I'm like saying it out loud, like, yeah, it wasn't much. And then I just made the decision that I was going to be with this person because it felt all warm and fuzzy at the beginning. I had these butterflies, and now looking back, they were like nervous butterflies. They were never like happy butterflies. They were literally like nervous. I was so nervous that I didn't want to have them. Like, I wanted to avoid seeing them so I wouldn't have these butterflies. But my little young dumb mind thought, oh, I must really like them because I feel all these nerves. I think that was intuition. But so somehow along the line, I made the decision to make this person my person. Like, I imprinted on them and I was like, I'm gonna make it work with them. They say that people that have a really traumatizing childhood, that their dreams and goals in life are not what other people's are. Like, it's not like, oh, I'm gonna be a doctor, I'm going to like change the world, I'm going to invent something, I'm going to be a millionaire. People who come from a really bad childhood and really traumatic upbringing, their dream is to have a family that's not dysfunctional. Their dream is to be part of something. Their dream is to finally have what they longed for in their childhood, which is just like a family, like a loving family, which is just love, because that's what you were missing. That was my dream. That was my dream. I didn't grow up with parents. I didn't grow up in like this nuclear family type of household. So my dream was just to be part of a family. I remember when I was a child negotiating with God, like, okay, because I always used to be like, why didn't I have parents? As I'm saying this, I'm so triggered because I hate pity, and I don't want this video to be like drawing pity. Like I don't know how to explain it, but you know what? I still want to put it out there. Like, I just want to put this out there for myself more than anything. This is my personal channel, you know, so I do come back and watch these for myself so I can learn also. That was my dream. So I saw this person and I thought that they were offering that a family. That was enough for me. Like, I thought that was enough. And then I realized shortly after we moved in together, I thought I did my due diligence. As a 23-year-old, it wasn't much due diligence, but I did do a background check because I already had a 1-year-old child. Because when you have kids, you just have to be careful, you know. So I thought that, plus I already knew this person for like a couple years as just like a platonic, not very close friend, but they were actually kind of my brother's friend a little bit more. So I just thought they were a little bit safer. I did take a few precautions, but I went all in once I decided that they were okay. Like, this person really loved me, this person liked me, and they were like offering like a family, like to be a wife, and I thought, this sounds great. And I went for it, and immediately there was a lot of red flags. Their ex-wife was still kind of in the picture, and there was still a lot of toxicity around there. Within a couple months, I started to see signs of alcoholism. I had never been exposed to alcoholism, so I had no idea. I thought some people just like drink too much, but no, I started to see the signs, and it made me question things. But as you know, like, when you start to question things, the other person is never going to be like, you know what, you're right, I am really fucking up, this isn't right, you're right, I'm wrong for this. Unfortunately, it's always like denial, it's always gaslighting, manipulation, and that's the route that it went. It was like, you're the problem, why are you making a big deal? And then I wanted to leave within like 6 months. I was like, I think I made a wrong choice. And that's when they started to promise that they were going to change, that they were going to do better. And that cycle pretty much just repeated. They would try a little bit, and they would mess up, apologize, basically like be kissing my ass, be super lovey-dovey, give me everything I wanted, make me happy. And then the cycle just went on. And as it went on, it started to be normalized. Like, things that were not okay and normal started to become normalized. And because of my self-awareness, whenever there's a lot of manipulative tactics, but because of my self-awareness, whenever they would flip things on me, when I would be like, hey, I don't like this behavior, and they'd be like, what about your behavior? What about what you're doing? What about you doing this? What about you doing this? So when somebody calls me out on something, I don't want to hurt a person that I love and that I'm with, so I would turn inward, self-reflect, try to adjust myself to them so that they could be happy, so that they could be happy with me, instead of focusing on like, this is what you're doing is wrong. I would just like try to fix myself, and I kept trying to fix myself, accommodate, like tweak little things here and there. They didn't like my tone of voice, they didn't really like the way I dressed. They said that I dressed funky. Like, they wouldn't say that looks ugly, but they'd be like, that looks kind of funky, like that looks a little weird. Like, they just would say how I dressed funky and I dressed weird. I came from California to like Washington State, so I'm sorry people here are boring, and I'm sorry that I'm fun. But I took those things, like, I wanted to make the person that I was with happy, you know? So I went ahead and kept tweaking my personality. I toned myself down. I started to like not be so like outgoing. I started to make myself small so that I could be more digestible. And that is basically self-betrayal. I started to betray who I was. I have a very like demanding voice. I don't mean to have it. My tone of voice is just strong. A lot of people from Michoacan, where I'm from in Mexico, have that. And I started to literally, I used to Google like how to change your tone of voice so that people don't get defensive, because he always used to get defensive. He used to say that I spoke very aggressively. He always said that I was aggressive. So I always felt like I was too much. I didn't ever feel appreciated or accepted. I felt tolerated, barely tolerated. So in a way, I was just like geez, like, I come with all these flaws. Like, I'm just glad to have somebody that accepts me with my flaws and that still loves me, even though I have all these fucking flaws that they're saying that I have. And again, that is part of the self-betrayal. I betrayed myself to appease this person. I diagnosed them. I don't care. I can, because I lived with this person for 12 years. I diagnosed them with dismissive avoidant attachment style. So they could never see me, love me, understand me. It really triggered my anxious attachment. So it triggered me chasing their approval. We were definitely enmeshed. Like, I always felt like if they were not okay with me, I was not okay. I would do whatever it took to get them to be okay with me. And their standards were high. Nothing was ever good enough for them. And regardless of their trauma, obviously they have trauma. Obviously that's why they're where they're at. I used to try to understand them more than understanding myself. I would be more understanding to them and I'd be like, okay, well, if they did this, it's because of this, so it's okay. So that's another part where, like, the self-awareness and our smartness, our intelligence comes into play, where we think just because we understand something means it's okay, or we can forgive them because we understand where they're coming from. And that's not okay. It's not okay. You can understand, like, oh, why somebody's an asshole, but that doesn't mean that you have to tolerate that person being an asshole to you. It's not the same thing. Like, okay, I get why you're an asshole, but that doesn't mean that I have to tolerate it. And that's definitely where I went wrong. This is a small summary of that relationship, and I will definitely be talking more shit about that. I will definitely be letting this out because I don't want to hold it in. It took me a couple years to end this relationship when I decided it. It took me a while. Many attempts, like, to try to detach myself, to try to work on my abandonment wound. It took me many, many attempts. I'll be sharing all the things that happened more, because why not? Why not just expose myself on the internet? I try not to be messy, but I don't think I'll do it in a messy way. But who cares? It's my story to tell. And if somebody didn't want to sound like a villain, if somebody didn't want me to talk shit about them, then they shouldn't have done the things that they done, you know? I'm putting this out there for many reasons, but like I said, including for myself, so that I can remember. I documented a lot of the end, I would say, for the last couple of years for myself as well. I even recorded myself reminding myself, hey, if you ever feel like going back or like they can change, like, I would tell myself, like, this is what happens, because I would forget. I have ADHD. I'm like, all right, let's just move on so we can be happy. I don't want to stay miserable and bitter, you know? I'm doing so much better now, and because I feel like more detached from it, because that was already a while ago, I can talk about it now. But when I was going through it, I couldn't talk to anybody about it. I literally kept everything quiet. I never threw them under the bus. I never made them look bad. I never shared the details before. And this is why I feel like I need to voice them loudly now, because I kept everything quiet. And once I wanted to start to share, and once I wanted to start to tell people that this has been going on in my relationship, everybody's like, what? What are you talking about? Like, I thought you guys were good. We were good because I made them look okay, because I would cover things up, because I didn't want to make them look bad. I thought, like, you don't throw your person under the bus. You don't make them look bad. Like, no los haces quedar mal, you know? And also because a part of me knew that if I did make them look bad, I would now have the responsibility of, like, if it's that bad, then why are you there? You know? I would have to leave, and I didn't feel like I was ready at some point. I didn't feel like I was ready to leave. I didn't throw them under the bus so that I wouldn't have to commit to letting them go, and that's sad. But I'm trying to be very kind to the person that stayed, knowing that they were just looking for love in the wrong places, and that they didn't do it from wanting to harm themselves or betray themselves. You know, they did it out of looking for the things that they were seeking for in life, from life, and looking for a family and wanting to be loved. Like, that's what I was seeking. So I'm trying to forgive myself and not think of myself, like, not look down on myself, you know? So anyways, this is going to be like a huge part. This is going to be like a big part series. And I'm going to talk about it and talk about it and bitch about it and go on about it until I'm fed up of it. And then I'm going to be like, you know what? Let's move on. Like, let's focus on the positive now, because there is a lot of positive to this as well. So I just want to let you guys know that's where this is at. I don't know if this is tea or not, or if it's just a big sob story, but that's what we're doing. So I'll be having multiple parts, and I'll also be documenting on here, not documenting, but I'll also be vlogging me moving and just basically starting all over from scratch. So if you guys are interested in seeing my my glow up in life, my midlife crisis, me falling apart and rebuilding my life. If you guys are interested in that, please keep watching. I'll have more videos coming soon. I don't know if I said anything in this video. I think I just rambled. But I'm new to YouTube again. So stay tuned. Take care. Bye.